Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So there was a story in the New York Times this week that caught my attention because it had a name that I recognized, although I gotta be honest with you, I don't think a month or two ago I would have. It was about a company called Stitch Fix. And basically Stitch Fix is in the clothing business, and this company, it's relatively new, generates close to $750 million a year in sales. And it does so basically by not giving consumers a choice in what they get when the box shows up. They don't get a choice, but they do get a say. Here's how it works. Basically what happens is when you sign up for Stitch Fix, you fill out a form and you tell them about your preferences and you tell them about your needs, and basically you give them your price points. And then what happens is they send that to one of, I guess, 3,400 stylists they have working for the company, mostly part-time. And those stylists will go through that stuff and select things for you. And basically a box shows up, and there's 5 things on it, in it for women. And they blouses and skirts and pants and jewelry and the whole thing. And here's the deal. If you can return all of it, you can return some of it, or you can keep the whole thing. And if you keep the whole thing, you get a 25% discount on the total on the price. It's really kind of interesting. Now, if it seems like I know a little bit more about this than you'd think I would, it's because my daughter has become an enormous Stitch Fix fan. And it seems like I'm sitting here on the stoop. Usually there's boxes on this stoop. I can't tell you how many Stitch Fix boxes we get. Then she got my wife into it. And now my son is going to try it. I guess he wants to up his sartorial game a little bit. But, and I guess the men's program works a little bit differently, but the concept is basically the same. And it's a really interesting business model, but you got to keep something in mind. Stitch Fix really isn't in the fashion business. It's in the data business. Because what they're doing is they're accumulating an enormous amount of objective and subjective data about what customers want and like. And then what they're able to do is use that data to kind of nudge them a little bit, right? If you like one kind of color, they can nudge you by knowing that maybe colors that are a little bit different, you might try that, or a style that is a little bit different. And probably in the end, a price point that's a little bit higher. They can nudge you in that direction. It's really smart, because what they're doing is they're getting people to widen their fashion palette and doing it in such a way that their sales are going to grow as well. People talk about this stuff all the time. The sales are going to grow and their audience is going to grow. It's really, really smart. And it occurs to me that, a lot of different retailers in a lot of different venues could use this. Think about the food business for a second. If you actually, actively, not just by putting sampling stations in a store, but actually analyze the data and send people products that were similar to the things that they traditionally have bought, it might be a way to get them to try new things, which could lead to incremental sales. And listen, all the data is there. Most companies have some sort of loyalty program. The problem is most of them use that loyalty data to just send people coupons and maybe give them a discount on gasoline. They're not using the data the way they need to. Data is the key. It's what makes Amazon so successful. It's what makes companies like Stitch Fix so successful. If you use the data well, it can lead to much greater success down the road. And if I were a retailer, boy, this is what I'd be trying to do. I'd be trying to figure out ways to use the data to help me grow my customer base and grow the customer's palette, whether I were selling clothes or whether I was selling food. Of course, there is another way to go. You can just do things the way they've always been done. But I'm not sure that's a particularly good choice. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.